Welcome. I want to welcome all of you to our board meeting this evening. We're so excited for recognitions and community comments this evening. My name is Julie King. I'll be conducting the meeting this evening. And then our first item is that we are going to have our Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to be led by Dr. Perkins.
Please stand. Repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we would like to invite Mandy Ford to come forward, who will be giving us our inspirational thought.
Okay, this is courtesy of Jerem. Joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day. Some days, joy is easy. Many times, joy is so hard to choose. We can choose joy even when it seems so far away. You deserve to feel joy today and every day. You are amazing.
Thanks, Mandy/Jerem. We appreciate that. Okay, we're very excited because tonight we get to recognize Frontier Middle School. And Mr. Bakar, we're so excited that you're here. So excited to recognize your faculty, your parents, your students. And so we're just gonna
Here we go.
Let's do this.
Same time. Thank you, Mandy.
Yes,
Thanks, Eric. I'm just gonna get dressed a little bit so there's no mistaking why I'm here and who I'm representing. As I'm getting dressed, I'm gonna tell you this is going into my 9th year at Frontier Middle School. Before that, I was at Willow Creek, and that's the extent of my career. This will be the last year of Frontier as we know it, and we're excited to welcome a new middle school in Eagle Mountain to provide opportunities for our kids. As a principal, this is the 3rd time I've had the opportunity to present in this format, and they asked me to come back, so this is on you. But I need you to understand the emphasis for me. This is a celebration of all of the great people and all of the great kids that have been a part of my life at Frontier. And so we're going to recognize some kids, but what I'm also going to do is this is going to be a participation experience because at Frontier, we are the home of the Mustangs. And every day, we tell the kids, what? Remember? To live the Mustang way. You can hear them from the hallway. So in the spirit of the Mustang way, I'm going to share with you the attributes and dispositions specific to what we hold dear to us at Frontier Middle School. And our Mustang. Aubrey's coming in. Aubrey is here because M stands for mastery. So we're going to keep coming. How is she demonstrating mastery at Frontier? Aubrey is a member of our dual language immersion program for Chinese. And for years has worked hard to become proficient in reading and writing and in cultural exploration. What's powerful about Aubrey is she's super friendly. And that makes her, for me, a WWF superstar. What? A worldwide friend. She's ready to share her language and build those relationships. Mastery. Aubrey, let's give her a round of applause. And brought to you by Teacher and Student Success Act, we have some swag for members of our Board of Education.
Sorry, I need to be louder. Thank you, Eric. This is Lily. She's a member of our student council. She helps with our sources of strength. She helps provide announcements for the school every day, activities during lunch. You had play practice this afternoon. Doing it all. Not flashy, super kind, and demonstrates unity. Mastery and then unity. Lily, we appreciate the example you are to include your friends and be a leader by helping everyone around you. Lily's story. Brighton. This is Brighton. And Brighton, do you want to hand this to Mr. Clement, that hat? He's excited to put it on his head right now. Good job, Brighton. Come stand right here. Brighton is happy, is kind, and is aware of the needs of others. There's a special opportunity and a friend, and maybe he'll get here eventually, but Fernando and you are good buddies. Yes. And sometimes things are really tough for Fernando, and Brighton goes out of his way to make sure things are taken care of. Brighton, I recognize the spirit and the opportunity you share with all of us to do the right thing, to help others, and enjoy every day. Brighton Mitchell. Ethan, come on down. He's got our tea. Good job. Oh, and Ethan, Miss Hackins, she wants a hat, and she's going to put it on right now, too. So we've got to MUS and T. Ethan is one of the most hardworking students I've ever interacted with. And ladies and gentlemen, and I think Ethan would agree, most things are pretty tough for Ethan. But he doesn't stop. He gives it his all, and he does the best that he can in everything he does. The T in our Mustang way represents tenacity. And Ethan, I want you to know I appreciate how you never give up, no matter how hard. And you're an example to me and to all of your friends and your family. Ethan Croft. But before we bring in our A, N, and G, M stands for mastery. U stands for unity. S stands for T stands for tenacity. Perfect. Thanks, Ben. Miss King, she's ready to represent the Frontier Mustang Way. Ben is a member of our Latinos in Action. What's a powerful representation for me is, as I've seen Ben in elementary schools helping kids read, working with his friends, and most recently to create a powerful experience for our Hispanic Recognition Month. We played games, we built culture, and we shared understanding. We came together, and just as Mandy talked about, the joy that we shared, embracing our differences and our heritage in our school community, Ben was awesome. And I appreciate your conscientious work in that area. Ben's a wonderful student. He gets it done in the classroom every day, all day. That's a lot of work. Ben is also a great friend and chooses to be at the right place at the right time doing the right things. Ben represents the A for accountability in our Mustang Way. Benjamin Rich, congratulations. Accountability. Okay. Then we've got Hannah. She's our N and Superintendent Farnsworth. Rocking some Frontier. This is the moment I've been waiting for, Hannah. There you go. Superintendent is now a member of the Frontier family and always has been. Hannah, pretty amazing. Pretty busy girl, too. She's also a member of the Frontier Dance Company. That placed first in the state in the dance competition at Cedar City. And she was also silver medalist in a duet performing, representing our school. Very talented girl. Here's what's important for you to understand. The N in the Mustang Way represents nice. Hannah's focused on building everyone around her. And this is going to get a little bit interesting because also part of the Mustang Way and being nice is the conscious efforts to do what's right, and to be kind when it's difficult. And we're not going to go into the backdrop of everything Hannah's been through, but I need you to understand, she takes the steps necessary to be nice because I'm choosing to do what's right, no matter what. Mom's taking the camera right now, and she doesn't want to do this, and she wouldn't do this if I'd have asked, but Caroline, she's going to take the phone, and Stacy, you need to come up here because you are a key role in this and was for a hot minute an employee at Frontier. But I appreciate the niceness of this family and the continued commitment to do what's right in everything. Hannah, smart, beautiful, and kind. You represent Hannah Fells being nice. Okay, I'm in the way now. Callan is here representing gratitude. New to our school this year. Callan was one of the very first students we were able to recognize because of how wonderful she is to her teachers, to her friends, and to her principals. She's like, what's the big deal? Why am I standing here? Callan, I want to express my gratitude for you in the way you conduct yourself. She's a member of our POP class, People of the Pacific. She's also a member of our Sources of Strength. She chose to come into Frontier and immediately make a difference for all of her friends. And now she has more friends than anybody at the school. She's like, okay, now you're exaggerating, Mr. Bakar, but I'm not. It's very rare, and I am grateful to see the courage and strength of an individual coming into a school with over 1,800 students to come in and from day one choose to show kindness. We want to share our gratitude for you, for all your efforts and everything that you're doing for our school. Callan, let me see. Gratitude. There he is. Jason's rocking it, and an alumni of Frontier. Here we go. Jessie Anderson. Now, it's the Mustang way, so she's holding up the S for spirit and strength and courage and all of the above. Jessie comes in every day to a school that's full of sounds and crowded spaces that are really difficult to deal with. And what does Jessie do? Smile and makes the best of every moment. I want you to know Jessie is also a wonderful sister, daughter, classmate, and Jessie Anderson, thank you for demonstrating spirit and courage and living the Mustang way.
You are so welcome.
Yes! Round of applause, Jessica Anderson. All right, now we've got some adults to recognize, but I need some help here. Jesse, you're going to scoot down this way. Fernando! Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Fernando. Fernando's carrying the heart with us, but he's also an example of the tenacity. What's funny is, Fernando, I've seen him in this diabolical contraption that we call a stander that helps him stand up straight. And what do? We talk about 6 feet tall and beautiful. There he is. Fernando also has a walker that he takes down the hall, but don't let that fool you, ladies and gentlemen. He is the fastest walker runner of all times. He cruises into boosty mode and he takes over. What's special to me is exhausted, sad, or overwhelmed, you see Fernando smile. And sometimes it's difficult to talk, but Fernando says, "How's the best principal in town, Mr. Bakar?" And Fernando, I want you to know today, thank you for being one of the best examples of the Mustang way for me.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Fernando. You're awesome, Fernando. Okay, so now what we've got to do is you guys are standing there perfectly. Yes, we're going to take a picture and they're not going to leave, but board members, I need you to stand because you've got your hats on, but we also have a sign because you're going to represent Frontier completely. Because the worst part of these presentations is just standing there taking a picture, reading a paper you can't read. So I'm going to turn it over to the photographer to space this of where we basically see. Mark, you got to go lower. Students, maybe you take a knee, get balanced with Fernando. Listen to the master. Here, Fernando, I'm going to take this. And then, Rhonda, you want to come stand this up here?
Where do you want me to stand?
Yeah, right there. Doesn't that look good? No. No. Oh, that looks so good. Stacy, you gotta scoot over a little bit. There's a gap in that I and E. We're gonna do this again, folks. Tenacity. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, tricep workout. We're going to start with the Mustang Way. M stands for mastery. U. S. T. A. N. G. Gratitude. Round of applause. Mustang Way, Mustang students. Keep those by your side. We're going to do this. All right, students, come on out back through this hallway. Fernando, I'm going to give you front row, okay, buddy? You got it.
Yep, so that Fernando, come on, she cannot clap because he's right.
Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, they're going to get recalibrated because we've got some adults to recognize. M stands for? Dr. Perkins is like, Jeremy, when are you going to be done with this? Are you freaking kidding me? I'm so sorry. Mastery. This is going to be, if I had walk-off music, I would do this. But I need to set the context of Frontier Middle School has the highest concentration of 7th and 8th grade students in the state of Utah. It would also be nearly appropriate to say one of the highest concentration of 11, 12, and 13-year-old children on the planet. And I love it. And what I want to do is introduce you to the highest performing language arts 8th grade teachers who have done it with the highest concentration of kids on the planet. Individually, they are wonderful teachers. Together, and the collective commitment to hold each other accountable, to change things, and to do it the best way possible. Nobody else in the state of Utah did it better, and nobody did it with as many kids as they did it. I would like to present to you the language arts team for 8th grade at Frontier Middle School. Susan Abney, Jenny Dipko, Jeanette Black, Melinda Morgan, and Beth Williams. Fantastic demonstration of mastery and led the district and one of the highest performing groups in the state, and nobody did it with as many kids. Next, we've got unity. Let me just check and make sure. Someone got the U for her? What's the matter, Fernando? Huh? I need lots of help, Fernando. You're exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, that's what we get every day. Mr. Baker, do you need help? Can I help you? Now, here's unity, because I don't think I've ever gone to a meeting that Melissa has not been a part of. For the last several years, she has been fully committed to not only taking care of cheerleaders and bows and schools and council duties on PTA. Melissa Tall, as a dear friend, acquaintance, neighbor, and quietly behind the scenes, does anything she can for all students. Melissa didn't know what was going on tonight. Dennis, good job. Because I don't know if she'd come otherwise. This was a surprise date night, and he pulled into the district office for a board meeting, and you could have seen her eyes pop out when she sees me here thinking, what is actually... She was like, what are we doing? Come on. Yeah. The unity that we share comes from finding ways to help all kids. Melissa, thank you for all the years, all the time, and all of the sacrifices to take care of all of our kids. Melissa Tall. Unity. Mandy, she's the one who came in and did the joyful message. I wonder who set her up for that. Mandy, in the same way, has spent countless hours. I don't think there's been a production at Cedar Valley High School, Frontier Middle School for the last umpteen years ever that Mandy has not been a part of. Mandy currently serves on our school PTA board. Whoa! Tenacity, we got this. Dr. Perkins is like, come on, get on with it, Jerem, let's go. What I'm thinking of, and I don't know how to share this in a setting like this, but Mandy's a great mom. And regardless of the difficulties and struggle we all face in our lives, the unwavering commitment and capacity that she brings because of the stability, encouragement, and focus on her children, knowing that I'm going to be connected and I will be at a moment's notice to help you in any way, shape, or form, no matter where you are, no matter the situation. You demonstrate the spirit and friendship that all kids need from a mom and a dad and teachers and administrators. Mandy Ford, thank you for sharing that spirit with all of us. Mandy Ford. Go faster, Jerem, go faster. That's what we got. I'm going to put my cheat sheet in here. Now, she may hit me with this. No one's going to do this. This is Amy Rita. Amy has the difficult position to literally be closest to the doorway to my office. And for the last 8 years, as administrative assistant, secretary, rescuer, has witnessed all the sights, sounds, smells, commotions that have come through my door. There's a level of appreciation of friendship on how much she loves her family, her girls. And she's up here holding the tea. She's been at Frontier since it opened. Amy, tonight is the night I let you and the whole world know the rock you are in our lives, because, ladies and gentlemen, she continues to be the rock as she's endured the hardest year of her life. Amy, you demonstrate not just the tenacity of doing the job, but the tenacity to be who we all need to have in our corner, regardless of what's going down. Amy Rita, tenacity. Oh, Amy, you got to stay here. You got to stay right there. We got an A and an N and a G. Okay, accountability. I'm bringing in the teachers responsible for 2 of our life skills units. And we talk about the sights and sounds that can happen in a life skills unit. Students with significant and medically fragile conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to feel heaven on earth, spend a few minutes in our life skills unit. If you want, forget about your worries, concerns, problems. Come to our life skills unit. Feel the love that is shared there amongst the adults. The partnership and camaraderie in classes. They orchestrate 20 to 30 peer tutors every period to help students in all of the classes across the whole school. Fernando, we're here to recognize the teachers and helpers that make Frontier wonderful for all of us. Please hold your applause until the end. Jen Phillips, Sandy Groh, Kim Reeder, Stacy James, Heather Probert, Amy Anderson, Tanya Crosby, Christy Davies. Ladies and gentlemen, the accountability to take care of all students, our life skills, staff, and crew. All right. Now, we're bringing in not necessarily the heat for the remainder of the meeting, but this is Deputy Ken Decker. We are grateful for the commitment to build relationships with students and to take proactive measures to keep our school safe in all aspects of school. Ken has become a dear friend, and we've worked together, we've brainstormed together, we've gone through difficult situations together. And I think it's important for all of us to understand, Ken, the gratitude we have for the sacrifice and the line of duty to take care of all of us is appreciated. He's a real cop. He competes like tactically. His wife's a better shot than him. However, in the line of duty, he creates a sanctuary for us and a place of stability. And in the back of this room, I've got 2 little boys and a girl and a mom. I want to recognize your sacrifice on behalf of all of our students and representative of all of the families of those in the line of duty to take care of us. We show our gratitude to you, Ken, for who you are and what you provide for your darling family every day. Deputy Ken Decker. Okay, our last Mustang Way. Spirit, and this is the Swiss Army knife. Miss Buckmiller is the first person you see when you roll up to Frontier every day. She's got a bright yellow vest. She knows all 28 bus drivers, all 28 bus routes. She tells me which ones are late, and then of those 28, 3 of them turn around, go pick up more kids, come back. 31 times in the morning, 31 times in the afternoon. We shuttle over 1,630 students on Alpine School District transportation. Janet is not a bus driver. She is the Grand Central Station of children delivery and pickup that happens every day at Frontier Middle School. It's an impressive show, folks. Bring some popcorn and watch children find one of the 28 buses in a matter of 7 minutes. It's spectacular. Okay, yeah, besides the pickup and drop off, Janet coordinates math support. She works with over 13 teachers and teachers' assistants. And it's because of the work of Janet Buckmiller that I'm here to tell you, with the highest concentration of students, 526 of them have all A's and 1 A minus. Here we go. We got more honor roll kids we know what to do with because they're excited and they're confident, not just in math, in every subject. Her contributions and direction to make learning happen is appreciated, Janet. And over 96% of all students at Frontier Middle School for term 1 are passing every single one of their classes. Mastery. Language arts team, thank you for being wonderful. Melissa, unifying our hearts and community. Mandy, the spirit to share the hope necessary in our lives is powerful for every kid. Amy, you've never given up on us, and that tenacity to continue to give. Accountability for taking care of all of our kids. It's nice to have our school resource officer and Janet Buckmiller. Ladies and gentlemen, this is representative of all of the wonderful people at Frontier Middle School, but please give them a round of applause for being part of the Mustang Way. Okay, now we got to stage another picture. Frontier up. Am I fired yet, Joel? Getting close, getting close. Jeremy, we have other things to do tonight. Sorry. Such a good heart, Rhonda. Thank you. I'm so excited. Just so everybody else knows, this goes out on like an email that the whole district gets to see. Frontier Mustangs. I'm pumped. Hey, all right, we're going to modify the next group picture with everybody as soon as everybody's done. So if you guys want to take a step forward, the students are going to come in the back, and they're also going to present every member of the Board of Education a Cold Stone ice cream. And if you're here tonight, you are eligible for a free Cold Stone ice cream service underneath us. I didn't bring it upstairs because I don't think any of them knew that this was happening. So I'm checking in. Joel, how we doing? Brittany Webb, a former student of mine who runs the catering barn of Cold Stone here in American Fork and Saratoga Springs. Dear friend, great families. Ladies and gentlemen, I truly mean this. This is a celebration for us, and it's going to take us an hour to get home. So that's why we got ice cream. To celebrate the goodness in all of our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause. Teachers and students at Frontier Middle School. Jackson, Rachel, Brian. Here you go. We got Mustangs up front. Find a window, Rachel. Find a window.
We're not following rules tonight, Houston. It's fine. Sorry. All right, we're done, folks. Party downstairs. We'll let the rest of these people.
Our family. They
Thank you guys so much. We love celebrating all of our students, our staff, our parents, how they contribute. So we're incredibly grateful. In case you haven't picked up, Mr. Bakar's a pretty fun person to be around, and Frontier is a phenomenal school. So thank you. Board Member Bateman, I believe you also have some recognitions you'd like to share.
I do have recognitions I'd like to share. So Skyridge High School 6A girls tennis state champions. This is their 5th consecutive year. Way to go, Falcons. And then Westlake High, Orem High, and Skyridge High are all Special Olympics Unified Soccer State champions in their respective divisions.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to next move on to community comments. We now have up to 30 minutes set aside for public comment. This opportunity is allocated for patrons living within the Alpine School District boundary. A sign-up sheet was available prior to this meeting, allowing up to 10 patrons the opportunity to speak. Those living outside of ASD and those who were unable to sign up before all slots were full can submit written comments at alpineschools.org/schoolboard. You can also scan the QR code in the lobby to direct you to an online form. As you are called up, please introduce yourself by stating your name. You will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. While the board does not engage in a discussion during the public comment period, they may arrange for a staff member to communicate with you later. Personnel issues are not appropriate discussion items for an open meeting environment. If you have a personnel concern, please contact a member of administration or put your concerns in writing and address it to the Board of Education. So we have 8 individuals who are signed up for community comments tonight. I'll read the first 3, and if the first individual would come to the microphone, if the other 2 would just be kind of ready, and then with each individual that we complete, I'll call the next name just to kind of get the flow going. So it looks like our first comment is by James Gaffney, second is Tracy McMillan, and third is Lisa Moncourt.
Okay. Hi. My name is James, and I have a daughter in this district, which is why I'm very passionate about what I'm about to talk about. I am a concerned parent in my first board meeting that is very upset to hear about what is coming into the schools in Alpine. I'm learning from a friend that her son brought home a trans book discussing being confused about gender, and this boy is only 7 years old. And what is going on here that sexual stuff is in front of kids? Like, how is the library allowing this to happen? Like, it's wildly inappropriate. I need your help to get this out of the schools, or better vet this so it's not in front of young kids. It seems like common sense that sexuality in any form is not age appropriate for elementary school kids. It used to be, for me, if you want to be trans, go ahead, you be you. Now that it's in front of kids, and it's just so much going on with that, I no longer have patience for trans people. You're either a boy or a girl. There are 2 genders. It is mind-blowing that I have to actually say this. There are actual men playing against women, and my daughter in high school should not be afraid to compete against men in women's sports. Like, this should not be here. If any of you are offended by these comments, facts don't care about the feelings. I mean, you should not be afraid to offend someone with the truth. The truth should not be sheltered to save someone's feelings. We need to be bold and stand up for what is right. Can any of you guys help with this? Because it's a problem I don't want to be getting. It starts small and then it gets big. And I can't have this. It just doesn't make any sense.
So James, we don't engage in back and forth, but we can direct you to a staff member. Dr. Perkins, would that be appropriate for you to speak with Mr. Gaffney outside? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so next up we have Tracy McMillan, Lisa Moncourt, and then Katrina Brittner.
Hello, my name is Tracy McMillan. I am here to speak on behalf of Linden Elementary, which is currently being studied for potential closure. Linden currently hosts a robust ALL program, which, if staff recommendations are followed, would be shuffled to another school, while the general ed population is moved to Rocky Mountain. Our ALL is a fully integrated part of our school. Those students are seen as simply another grade level class. They attend specialties in mixed groups and with other classes in their grades. The teachers collaborate together and they share classroom space as they teach various combined science and social study units. This is not a matter of moving a group who runs independently while in our building. It is taking away a part of our community. This move, however, was not suggested out of concern for the ALL program or its welfare. We are aware that the general education population at Rocky Mountain is concerningly low, and we understand the desire to support those students. This move is largely on their behalf. However, as presently proposed, it is not feasible to move Linden's general ed population to Rocky Mountain without additional problems. Linden currently has 573 students, and Rocky Mountain has 483. With the DLI and special ed programs remaining at Rocky Mountain, that would require a minimum of 38 classrooms. When all is said and done, moving all of Linden to Rocky Mountain would require a minimum of 5 to 6 trailers. This would come at significant cost, not only monetarily, but also for the physical space that would need to be given to hold those trailers on the Rocky Mountain property. It has been stated by this board previously that in situations of school closure, it is of utmost importance to allow communities to stay together so that they can support each other in tricky times of transition. This solution will not allow for Linden community to remain as one. Whether the loss of our heavily integrated ALL program or a redrawing of boundaries to make it feasible to move students to Rocky Mountain, we lose beloved members of our community. Our request is to vote no on this closure with the understanding that a new study will be needed in the near future to solve the concerns related to the small general ed population at Rocky Mountain and the age of the Linden building. We are willing to work with you to come up with solutions to both of those concerns, but this is not the way. Thank you.
Lisa, and then we have Katrina Brittner, and then Lisa Lesser.
Okay. Hi, I am Lisa Monker, as you said. Good evening. I come to you today as a parent of 2 children at Linden Elementary, and I also work at the school as the librarian. 4 years ago, we moved to Linden from out of state and specifically chose the house we lived in because of a little bit of research and because some friends told us that how exceptional Linden Elementary was. Since then, my kids have made friends that have been with them since kindergarten. We've found a community of teachers and staff that are incredible at Linden. A popular phrase that I love is, "It takes a whole village to raise a child." And as a parent, I came to Linden because in our society, the elementary school is one of the main villages my kids have. Over time, especially with me working at the school, it has become my community too. And my kids have developed lasting friendships, and those teachers have become a huge role in my kids' lives, and we would all be devastated to lose that. I'm especially concerned about the plans in place that would move the ALL program to a separate school from the rest of the community. My son is currently in the program, and we did a survey to see if parents would move their child to a different school with the ALL program. For a move to Manila, 57% said that they would not move with the program. 47% said that they would not move to Aspen. 53% said that they would not move to Central, and only 10% said that they would not move to Rocky Mountain Elementary. So their preference is clearly to stay with their community and to keep their kids with their friends. Please don't ask them to choose between their friends and their academic pursuits. As Tracy said earlier, with the plans to move most of the general education population to Rocky Mountain, that would put their numbers over what makes sense for that school. I am asking for you to do everything you can to keep our community together. Let's spend some time trying to secure any federal grants to retrofit the school, and if that doesn't work, please move us as a community so we don't lose our village. I live on the west side of Linden, and my kids would be devastated if they were to be separated from the other side. If you do have to reboundary, please do it after we all move together and settle in. After that, we can rework the boundaries with the new move-ins and not disrupt these kids' lives. When Valley View and Sharon Elementary were closed, they were able to move the community, and our kids deserve that too. Let's find solutions that are beneficial to everyone involved. Thank you.
So Katrina, and then Lisa Lesser, and then Trisha Neff.
Hi, Katrina Brittner, and I am a Windsor Wildcat parent and have been since 2003. My 6th child is in 6th grade, so this is my final year as a parent of a Windsor student. And I will tell you that I feel fatigued. This is the second time a target has been placed on our backs of the potential closure of our school. And not only do we have that potential threat against us again, there's also the potential of taking away our DLI program, which is a key part of the culture at our school. 52% of our students are non-English speakers or minority students. So that really brings our students together as the DLI program, and there's the threat now or the possibility of it moving, and that will decimate the culture at Windsor. And we have strong teachers there and administrators that make it a vibrant school. Where our population, our student enrollment is about, I think it's 578. And if you look average across the United States, elementary schools are about 100 less than that. So it's a good sized population for our school, and it's key to our community. And we just are tired of having the threat or the blade hanging over our head that our school is going to be taken away again. So please, I would ask you to keep Windsor open and to keep Windsor DLI program at Windsor. Thank you.
So Lisa, and then Trisha, and then Maria Haney.
My name is Lisa Lesser, and I'm here for the same reason as Katrina, addressing the issue of Windsor Elementary closure potential. And I know others that are here tonight for the same reason, and many others that are home that support the same view as we do. Although my kids are grown and moved out, we still desire, I and others still desire Windsor Elementary to remain open. It's been a part of our community for many years, and we still volunteer at Windsor even though we don't have children there. I've written most of you about this issue, and so I won't go into all of the reasons that we want it to remain open. But I will talk about this one that I feel is very important. I see many younger families moving into the area, and many of the elderly homeowners will have new owners soon within the next 5 years. In addition, there are 3 new housing developments close by that will likely draw in younger families. The first development is just 2 blocks away from Timpanogos High School in Windsor, and the second is located at 230 West and 1560 North. There is also a third development planned, which is the largest, and involves the properties off of 1600 North, by the which is the old Word Perfect, with both the Murdoch Trail project and the Mr. Gilman's project. And I believe this will affect the numbers. We can't just look at what is going on right now. We have to look to the future of all, and the turnover happens, and we can't keep closing schools to just have to open or build a new one later. So thank you. I appreciate your consideration on this issue.
So Trisha, Maria, and then Lindsay Heidbrink.
Hi, I'm Trisha. I am also here for Linden Elementary, and if you don't mind for a second, can we just have people stand who are here for Linden Elementary? We've got a group of us here today, and this is just those of us who are able to make it to the meeting. Thank you, guys. I would like to also start by saying, well, he had all his hats earlier. This was the only swag I had, was my 9-year-old's hat for Linden, so feeling a part of the night tonight. But I have had the opportunity within the last few months to speak to a few of you directly about different things about our kindergarten at Linden and about this issue about closing Linden. I do want to say thank you. I have felt heard, and I know that there's no way that everyone can be 100% satisfied, and we understand that. We in Linden we're a small city, we're a small community, and we have 2 elementary schools. We're looking at 1 elementary school. So as our small Linden community, we would like the opportunity to have a study that looks into keeping Linden kids at Linden schools and taking all things into account, not just looking just at our school and our building. As is mentioned before, we've got a great community. I am in the Panhandle, that little part that just juts out, that at some point we're gonna have that black permanent marker down State Street and send us somewhere else. And at some point we understand that that will be what makes the most sense. At this point, we feel like we're hoping there are other options to look at to keep us together as a community, and also with the other kids in Linden, with the Rocky Mountain School and with Linden Elementary School and those numbers that could be 1 elementary school. We feel like that's worth exploring, seeing if we can be 1 Linden community in our Linden school, as opposed to the current plan that sends us to 3 different schools in 3 different cities, even though we are all 1 patch of Linden. So we appreciate what you do. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today. I am a former employee of the district. I taught at Mountain Ridge for several years, go Huskies. And it was my love for the district that brought me back to Utah County when we moved back to Utah 5 years ago as an employee. So as a parent, it's an entirely different experience. But I know we're doing what we can, and we wanted to be here today to make our voice heard and let you know that we would like to keep our people as much as we can, and as much as possible, we'd like to keep our people together. So thank you.
So Maria and then Lindsay.
All right. Hello, I'm Maria Haney. I have a student at Cedar Valley, one at Frontier, which was recognized tonight, and one at Brookhaven. My husband is an Alpine school district teacher, and we have a young toddler yet to embark on her public school career. So all that to say, we are deeply invested in decisions that the board will make now and long term. I am thrilled that there's a new middle school joining us in Eagle Mountain. They will have good company with Frontier. However, I'm here to make the case why I think that the two boundary options being considered today don't represent the best option for my neighborhood, Oak Hollow. I'm concerned largely about distance, ease of access, and safety on one hand, as well as the challenges similar to what we've heard tonight about splitting our community. I've lived in the Oak Hollow neighborhood for 5 years, so it's on the southeast corner of Pony Express Boulevard and Porter's Crossing, kitty corner from Ridley's, just to paint a picture there. My backyard fenced neighbors are in the Silver Lake neighborhood, and Oak Hollow's roads go into and connect within Silver Lake. To the south of my neighborhood is a natural ravine, so we're kind of this pocket together, Oak Hollow and Silver Lake. And then on the other side of the ravine is Evans Ranch. All those three communities go largely to Brookhaven Elementary School. I would like you to please consider these facts. For each of my kids assigned schools today, there is a closer and easier to access school for all three of them. Pony Express Elementary, Vista, and Westlake. The new middle school is no exception. It is 4.6 miles away from my house, while Vista is 2.3. So we're exactly twice as far. Now, distance can be mitigated by ease of access. Things can appear farther, but can be easier to get to using certain roads. But in this case, Vista wins again. To get to the new middle school requires driving on virtually every major road in Eagle Mountain: Porter's Crossing, Pony Express, Ranches Parkway, SR 73, and then Airport Drive from my house to the new middle school. From my house to Vista is a quick ride on red from Porter's Crossing to Pony Express, and then you're at Vista. These are busy roads that my family would have to travel to, and it goes to follow that the longer we're on busier roads, our safety risk also increases. Just 1 week of transporting my kids to and from their 3 current schools instead of the closer schools results in additional 104 miles traversed than if they attended the closer options. Over a school year, 180 days, that's an additional 3,744 miles. I can drive from Seattle to Miami and have 400 miles left over. That's an additional $703 in gas for our family car over the course of a school year. But regardless of who foots the bill, whether my kids are bused or a carpool or whatever, if we average 35 miles an hour and no traffic, in Eagle Mountain, that's an additional 107 hours or 4.5 nonstop days of driving. And that's just time we can't get back, right? That our neighbors don't have to figure to schedule around. So all that just to paint the picture of the Oak Hollow is on the far edge of 3 different boundaries, and the new boundary doesn't change that. The other thing I'd like to say in my last few seconds is that the difference between the two options really consider Hidden Hollow splitting its community. Oak Hollow is already split. It goes to Brookhaven, which already splits to Frontier and Vista, and that is really harmful for our community. So between those 2 reasons, I'd rather have Oak Hollow stay together with Silver Lake and that community than go to the new middle school or continue going to Vistas or continue going to Frontier, as great as it is. Thank you.
Lindsay.
Yeah, I didn't mean to jump the gun earlier. I lost track of the names and such. My name is Lindsay Heidbrink, and I live in Linden, and I have 3 kids who go to Linden Elementary. And I want to start off by saying that I understand Linden Elementary is old, and not every good thing can last forever. And so we want you to know that we don't feel like it's our parents, versus the school board or anything like that. We understand, and we see that Linden is probably going to get closed pretty soon here. We are just asking that maybe let's not close it till after the vote on Prop 11, because if the school district does get split and there's all this change going on, we're afraid that the magic of Linden is going to get lost in the shuffle. Linden is a very well-performing school, and Linden is so popular that I remember when I moved into Linden, I wasn't great and did a bunch of research before I moved. I just moved to Linden because I was like, this seems like a really nice little town. And then when I got there, everyone's like, oh, and you're going to love the school too. And I have. All of my kids are doing so well, and I have 1 kid in ALL. The next one is taking the test, and I'm sure she's going to get in ALL. And my third, I'm sure he's going to take the test and get in ALL as well. Now, saying all that, we, again, understand that Linden might be closed, but let's keep the magic of Linden together, because it's the people, the students and the kids together, that are what make Linden great. The building does have a lot of memories, and it's a really wonderful place. But if we can keep the people together in that synergy, that's what will keep Linden great. Most of the residents, or most of the kids who are in ALL are from Linden, of course. And so if we were to move them with the general ed population, that would keep a lot of that magic together. And it would keep the students together too. Rather than having some Linden students going to Aspen and then the ALL program going to Central or Manila or wherever they end up going, and then the rest of the general ed going to Rocky Mountain, it takes one town and then splits it up. It just seems like, it seems a little excessive almost when we could have a bunch of Linden students all going to a Linden elementary school. If we could redo the closure study, you know, if Linden needs to be closed, we understand. Let's do it so that we can keep the magic of it together. Let's include the study so that it includes DLI and ALL and the schools, so that then we could find out how we can keep the magic of Linden together, so that we also keep the people of Linden with other people who live in Linden, and students who go to Linden with other students who live in Linden as well, because it just makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your public comments. We appreciate that. Superintendent Farnsworth, I believe we have some routine business.
We do. You have received the routine business for this board meeting, and I recommend you accept the routine business.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move that we accept the routine business.
Okay, with a motion by Board Member Clement and a second by Board Member Hacken, do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, next up.
Yes, we have 4 action items. They are all resolutions. The first is Resolution 2024-014. It's authorizing the surplus and deed of property to an individual in Orem. We're trying to straighten out the fence by Centennial Elementary, and this, I believe, is about 619 square feet that would allow that fence to be straight, and then we would deed that property to the homeowner. And I recommend your approval of that resolution.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2024-014, authorizing the surplus and deed property in Orem, Utah.
Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Wilson and a second by Board Member Bateman. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks like that passes unanimously.
Next is Resolution 2024-015, authorizing the surplus and deed property in Orem, Utah. We recommend that you approve that. That's the next door neighbor of the person who we just approved.
So the fence just keeps going.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Another 619 square feet.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2024-015, authorizing the surplus and deed property in Orem.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Hacken and a second by Board Member Clement. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it looks like that passes unanimously.
Thank you. The next resolution is 2024-016. We have a forklift that has served us well, and it's time to declare that excess for disposition. We recommend that you approve that.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2024-016, authorizing a forklift declared excess for disposition.
Okay, I have a
I'll
motion by
second it.
Board Member Bateman and a second by Board Member Beeson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. I think that was an aye by Sarah.
Aye, yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Okay, looks like that passes unanimously.
Our last action item is Resolution 2024-017, authorizing a ground sweeper declared excess for disposition. We recommend you approve that resolution.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2024-017, authorizing a ground sweeper declared excess for disposition.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so with a motion by Board Member Hacken and a second by Board Member Lincoln, any discussion on the item? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? I believe that passes unanimously. Next, Dr. Farnsworth, our discussion/action items.
Yes, we have made an adjustment to our agenda going forward that our policies will be slated as discussion/action items. That gives the board members the opportunity to discuss policies and any changes they want to. We appreciate the Policy Committee, Executive Director of the Legal Services, Craig Brinkerhoff, who chairs that for our senior leadership team, and the changes that are being made, the revisions that are being made to policy. So if the board feels comfortable that a policy is holding still and you've been able to give the input and feedback you want, then the board could make a motion to move that to action and approve the changes. If the board would like further discussion on that, then we can discuss that. The policy committee can take that back for further revision and bring that back at the later board meeting for approval if it's ready to move forward. So the first policy we would love to review, Policy 4010, LEA-specific teacher licensing, and this is a revision to Policy 4010.
Yes, so this policy we've specifically updated with some changes to the legislative code in this last legislative session. In particular, there's been lots of areas of concentration that were removed, and so we've cleared those out and tried to update this. From last time, we also updated the piece about hourly teachers not having to have a bachelor degree, which was a concern last time we brought this forward. So that has been adjusted as well. And anyway, that's the main purpose for the revision of this particular policy, were those statutory updates.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion if we want to take action on this agenda item.
I move that we move this to an action item and approve policy revisions for policy 4010.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so with a motion by Board Member Hacken and a second by Board Member Lincoln, any discussion regarding the policy?
I just had a question. I know that in our truth and taxation, that part of our rationale for our tax increase was to provide mentoring. And is this connected to this policy?
There
Council,
is
do
a
you want to comment on that?
Yeah, there is a section in the bottom that does address mentoring. So the mentor, this is at 1.9.3 on page 7. The mentoring program includes, and it has several sections that include the mentoring. So ongoing support and development of an educator, mentor observation and feedback, principal observation and feedback, assistance in meeting the pedagogical requirements, etc.
And I noticed that that has been changed from 2 years of support to at least 3 in 1.9.1. Yeah. Thank you.
Was there any other discussion? Seeing none, once again with a motion by Board Member Hacken and a second by Board Member Lincoln, all in favor of approving policy 4010, the LEA-specific teacher licensing, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it looks like that passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next policy is policy 5150, student travel. There have been some revisions to that policy. And again, if the board feels comfortable with those changes, we recommend you move it to approval. If the board still wants further discussion on that, we are welcome to take it back to policy committee for further revisions.
And just to clarify on this particular policy, the main changes are turning over the approval of trip requests to the superintendent and delegating that responsibility to him and his team. The other piece that was of question last board meeting had to do with reporting back to the principal or to the school board about at the conclusion of those trips. Board Member Beeson is not here, but sounds like she's listening in. So Board Member Beeson, on page 10, we adjusted that kind of as a middle ground between the two sides of whether or not we even include that report. What we've done is left it up to at the discretion of the principal. So the principal would make the decision if they want a report on a particular trip or not. The other piece to this is that we did a lot of organizational changes, sorry.
I have 3 amendments, but do you want me to move it to action first and then do them individually?
Can we have a discussion and then maybe see if we want to take action to table this to the next meeting so we're not wordsmithing in the meeting? Can I make that suggestion?
Yes, it's not wordsmithing. They're little amendments.
Okay.
So on 2.2.3.2 on page 8, I would love to discuss striking point 2. Yep. So it would just taking out the preliminary vote. So it would just read, at the parent meeting, the complete plan for the trip shall be discussed, and then the rest of the sentence. And that because Board Member Wilson and I were having a conversation, and it kind of makes it seem like there's 2 different votes. So we just wanted to clean that just a little bit.
It's mentioned.
Sorry,
twice.
because then it's mentioned in the next one they vote by secret ballot.
Right.
Gotcha.
So it's just eliminating that first mention of the preliminary vote, excuse me,
Okay.
Board Member Bain.
So
But
you would just eliminate that.
just eliminate the reference to the vote entirely,
I mean,
so,
would you eliminate 2.2.3.2 entirely then?
no.
No, just the
No.
part about voting.
Stacy, would you read it again? Sorry, Board Member Bateman, would you read it again just as you would like it to read in the text?
So it would read, at the parent meeting, the complete plan for the trip shall be discussed. All items of interest and concern should be detailed and explained.
Were there any questions from other board members regarding that alteration proposal? Okay, you go to your next one.
And 2.2.3.5, would just like to add at the very end a comma with a which may include an electronic option. And I bring that up because I did not realize that my high schools do things differently. And so one of my high schools does it by electronic means, so parents are a little more confident in the anonymity of the process. And one of my high schools does not do that, and also people don't always remember voting. And so I don't want to make everybody do it a certain way, but just hoping that if we add that in, that then becomes an option so that people can feel a little more secure in the feedback they're giving.
I see no issue with adding that as an option, that a virtual vote would be a option.
If we move to a virtual vote, is it possible for the district to create like a little program that does that, like we do to vote for SEC members, that just all schools could utilize if they needed?
Yeah, we could consider that, typically left up to a school and how they want to do that, but if there was a standard form that they wanted to employ, we could look at that.
Do you know how your high school does it electronically?
Yeah, they just send it through a Google form, I believe, and that goes out from the admin who's over the trips. So even I think just sharing with the other schools, here's how we have done this, and then they can either choose to say, yes, we'd like to adopt that, or no, thank you.
Okay, were there any other clarification pieces about that proposed amendment? Okay, and then, oh,
I have one more. I know, you're so excited.
okay, and then your final one, Board Member Bateman.
Okay, so on page 14, on 3.3, it says excursions outside of the continental USA or outside of the country shall not be approved. And I guess the two thought processes, one would be to put may not be approved, or to say that they shall be approved by the board. My concern is we have a trip, the Chinese trip, that takes 6 out of our 10 high schools. And so if this reads shall not be approved, then we are saying that we are eliminating that trip for the future.
So is your proposal that we change it to may, and then any travel outside of the continental US would require Board of Education approval? Is that your proposed amendment?
Yes.
Did you understand all of that, Craig?
I did understand that. And as a clarification, anything currently, the way that we've tried to write this is that currently any exception to what is written would require superintendent approval. So it's not, even though it says shall not and it doesn't say may not, they could still seek an exception. The current exception would go to the superintendent, but certainly we could amend that to the board if that's the will of the board.
So I live in Utah, where when we say shall, that is a pretty hard line. So I would be appreciative if we could adjust to a may.
Yeah, my recommendation would, I'm fine with the may, but I think if we're going to keep the approval at the staff level, let's keep the approval at the staff level.
I agree. I think it should stay with the staff. I also would note that there are a number of basketball camps in Hawaii, which would also be precluded by this.
And maybe it could read, excursion outside of the continental United States or outside of the country will only be approved by exception.
I fully support that.
Okay,
Well,
so is there any other discussion regarding the proposed amendments Board Member Bateman has made at this point? Are we all?
I understand that they feel small, but I could not tell you what they were at this point. I'm just wondering if we could just delay this until.
So you would
next
prefer that
time.
we table this so
Just
that
so
we can make the
we can
appropriate
actually
change?
see the wording that we're going to have.
So, point of question, because it's a discussion item, do we actually need to make a motion to table? So we just, if we want to approve it, we would make a motion to take action and then pass it.
That is my understanding, yes. And unless you make a motion to approve it, it will remain as a discussion item.
Could I hear comments from the policy committee?
I think those are good I think those are good changes.
We discussed this policy extensively several times. And we would be happy to take this back to committee and make those changes and then bring it back next meeting.
So I think the last one, because that's under rules and regs, right? So that doesn't have to be in this meeting. So I would be happy to move the first two choices to action item and pass it tonight to not delay it again.
I move that we consider moving policy 5150 to an action item and discuss amendments according to Board Member Bateman's suggestions.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion. So Board Member Wilson, are you motioning to approve it with the proposed changes that Board Member Bateman made?
That is correct.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve policy number 5150 with the approved amendments that Board Member Bateman made, the first two, and the third one with the assumption that rules and regs that can be changed outside of this meeting. So we have a motion by Board Member Wilson, a second by Board Member Bateman. Do we have any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, it looks like Sarah Beeson, sorry. Did we hear your vote?
Yes, mine was a aye.
Aye. Okay, so I believe it was a 5-2 vote with Board Member Lincoln and Board Member Clement opposing.
Okay, next policy is policy 6044, guidance with respect to elementary schools. And again, it's a discussion, could be an action if the board decides to move that way. Our recommendation is a retirement of this policy.
Yeah, this is an old policy. It's so old that it doesn't even have a last revision date on it. This policy has been superseded really with, for example, the coherence map, the vision for learning, PLC results cycle, the 7 tight essentials. All these things are what guide our teachers today. And so this policy is not being adhered to or followed. It's out of date, and so we recommend it be retired. We also passed this through our curriculum director, and she also recommended the retirement of this policy.
Okay, so policy number 6044, do we have a motion to move this to an action item for retirement.
Yes, I'll make that motion that we move policy 6044 to an action item and that we retire it with dignity.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Hacken. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
I'll second it.
Sorry, Sarah. Oh, okay. Board Member Beeson, you get that one. Okay, so with a motion by Board Member Hacken and a second by Board Member Beeson, any discussion?
This is part of kind of the ongoing process. We've been going through a lot of old policies, looking where there's redundancy, where there's things are just outdated, and this kind of falls in that category. It's not that the items in here are necessarily unnecessary, but they are covered other places adequately.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, those in favor of retiring policy number 6044, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Looks like that one passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to Alpine by the numbers.
Oh, wait a second.
Oh,
Policy 7250. You got all
Sorry,
excited.
sorry.
Oh.
Can't get rid of me.
Policy 7250, acceptable use of technology resources. That has been renewed, and we recommend if the board is ready to act upon that, that be approved, the renewal of that policy be approved.
Yes, this policy was last revised 3 years ago. The reason why we're bringing it back, and it does not have any changes to it, the reason we're bringing it back is because as a requirement of a grant that our Department of Technology seeks each year, that grant requires that our acceptable use technology policy be updated at least a minimum of every 3 years. And so for that purpose, we want to get this renewed so that they can apply and hopefully be awarded that grant for this upcoming year.
Okay, do we have a motion to move policy number 7250 for approval to an action item?
I move that we move this item to an action item and that we approve policy number 7250, acceptable use of technology resources.
Do we have a second? Okay, so with a motion by Board Member Wilson and a second by Board Member Bateman, do we have any discussion?
So it appears there's no changes, is that right?
No changes.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approving policy number 7250, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Looks like that one passes unanimously.
I apologize for skipping over that. That grant group would have been frustrated. So, okay, now I think we're ready for Alpine by the numbers. As requested by the board, we try on a regular basis to bring updates to the board members on Alpine School District and kind of some quantitative data associated with student achievement and others. Appreciate Scott Sumner and the research development team and the work that they do. And we have a presentation. I believe this was sent to you prior to the board meeting, and I appreciate their work. And we'll turn over to you, Scott, and your team.
Thank you, Superintendent. We are excited to be back. We said we'd be back in a few weeks, and we're here with some more information for you. The Results and Achievement team has really done an outstanding job this year. They spent a lot of time really supporting schools, helping identify areas of improvement, but also areas that are exceptional and be able to identify both areas. So today we've spent some time talking through what we wanted to share. I know graduation was on everybody's mind. You want to see those final numbers? We're a few weeks out still. The state needs to certify them, but as soon as we get them, we'll share them with you guys. But that'll be the next one, Alpine by the numbers. Today, though, we're going to talk about the state school report card and give you a little more information that way. You see them. It's all been published. It's on the website, the state website now, Data Gateway. But we want to break it down a little bit more so there's a better clarity of understanding of how the schools are performing and how you can read the reports that are shown on the state.
That was a test, Jason. You passed.
Thank you. Okay. We're excited to be here. Before we start, I really appreciated Frontier and seeing the students. When we talk about data, we remind ourselves that there are students behind this, there are teachers behind this, and families. The school report card published by USBE recently, one, it informs, it helps us ask questions, but it's not the full picture. Just like we saw with Frontier, it's not the full picture. It gives us kind of a snippet of how are we doing and where can we improve. For the public and the board on Data Gateway, you go to Data Gateway, there is a link for the school report card. You can look at the state overall, the district, and then each school in our district. Plus you can look at other schools as well to do those comparisons. We want to give you an overview of how that's calculated for elementary and middle and for high school, and then we do have some data to dig into a little bit. So once you click into and select Alpine School District, you'll see the demographics, the population, and the first thing that you'll see when you dig into this at a school level or the district level, you'll see those boxes, those 4 boxes. This is for K-8, that's elementary, middle, and then junior high. They use the same metrics to calculate the report card. So if you're looking at that, you'll see achievement, growth, English learner progress, and then in elementary there is early literacy, but that's not calculated into the report card. So what we've been doing is we've been meeting with principals and schools to discuss the metrics that are being used and how they might see some areas where they could improve. So for achievement and growth, they're using RISE and Aspire. English learner progress, they're using the WIDA assessment. And then that is all calculated and the school gets a score based on that. So real quick, we kind of just sectioned this off between the state and the district, so you could see that comparison. And we'll go through this pretty quickly. Achievement, you can see the state there on the left and the district there on the right with the RISE and Aspire. Our numbers stay pretty consistent year to year. There's not a lot of fluctuation with our numbers. We are always above the state average in those 3 areas. Growth, every student gets a growth score once they've taken the assessment multiple times. And you can see that our growth is exemplary and we're making good growth across the board. And then there is a metric that's called growth of lowest 25%. They look at every school. They find the lowest 25% of the school where they may not be proficient yet, but we want to make sure they're making growth because then they'll reach that proficiency. The next part, this is English learner progress. And you can see that comparison with the state. And what they do is they look at 2 things. Are students reaching proficiency in that English language? And are they making progress? Every student has their own growth goal, and that is tracked student by student to see if each student's making the growth that they should make. Okay. That's the elementary and the middle school. That's how they calculate those metrics. Now we're going to look at the high school that has a little bit more. You'll see there's achievement and growth and the EL progress, but there's also post-secondary readiness. So they're looking at ACT, the graduation rate, and then also like AP, CTE, concurrent enrollment, and they're generating numbers based on that. So at the high school level, they're using Aspire for achievement, and you can see that comparison between the district and the state there. Growth, that same metric. Once students take the test for the 2nd year, they get a growth score, where you're seeing that our district has exemplary growth across all of the subject areas, plus that growth of the lowest 25%. We have English learner progress. and how our students are doing there compared to the state. So you're seeing those numbers that are above the state average. And then post-secondary readiness. Looking at the ACT, students that score 18 and above, and then the graduation rate, and then that readiness coursework, where it's AP, CTE, CE, and we're going to dig into some of that data here in a second. So why does this matter, and what are we doing? We get this overview data, but we also get data disaggregated by student group from the state. So every school, we know how all the student groups are performing in all of these areas, which align with the coherence map. Every school has a student achievement goal and a student group achievement goal. And what we've been able to do is help schools see what groups might be underperforming, what groups might need some support, and is that aligning with their student group achievement goal with the coherence map. And some schools that we've worked with are like, ooh, we didn't know that this group was, struggling. We're going to, focus more efforts on that student group. What we've done on that slide right there, we've created a graphic for every single school in the district. And every school now has data that's disaggregated by those metrics, where they can dig in and say, okay, where are we doing well, and where should we, focus our efforts? And we are having discussions with the principals, leadership teams. We recently met with elementary principals, the entire group, and every school got their own data set, and we talked through what could you do throughout the year to help these students. And so we're not always just looking at the autopsy report of this is how we did. And so this next part that we want to talk about is we want to dig into some of the data that we pulled for secondary.
Yeah, I get to talk about the fun stuff. So this is just a brief overview of how high schools are doing in our district in conjunction with the school report card. Now, each of these categories, there's 5 of them. They get a score, and then they get a percentage out of 225. Now, this data by itself doesn't mean a whole lot, but it is here for you to look at and pull it so you don't have to go and click into each of the individual boxes on the school report card. This one is the junior high middle school. Notice they have about 75 less points. They don't have the post-secondary readiness category. Again, they only have the 4 categories, and we're going to actually dive into more of the post-secondary readiness today. So post-secondary readiness accounts for 33% of the school report card for high schools. And then that's subdivided, and they get points for graduation rate, ACT performance, and readiness coursework. Here's a trend for the last 3 years. The state's on the top, and we're on the bottom, Alpine School District. So you can see a comparison. As Jason stated earlier, we are well above the state average, and we have been for quite some time. Here is how we compare to other districts with the ACT. Now note that the ACT is the junior administration of the ACT, so it's the junior scores and those students who receive 18 or higher out of the total students, and that gives us a percent. And then the graduation rate is the 2023 graduation rate, so there's a year lag. Even though it's the 24 report card, it's reporting the 23 grad rate because they're still calculating that and finalizing those numbers before they get this out. And then readiness coursework. And then the overall enrollment is just K through 12, just to give you a comparison by district on the size. Here are the same categories, but divvied out by school. So again, you have the comparison of Utah and Alpine District on the top. You have ACT 18 plus or higher, and then you have the graduation rate, 2023, and then readiness coursework. Now, something interesting about the readiness coursework, it's broken down into AP concurrent enrollment, which is CE, and career technical education classes. This is actually a snapshot of the seniors who just graduated in 2024. And it's out of that cohort that we're looking at these numbers. So the AP rate is determined based on how many kids got at least one AP or CE or CTE course grade of C or better, and they also had half a credit in that area. So it's their entire career in the high school. Here are some things to look at for the top high schools in these categories. So for ACT, we have Lone Peak, Skyridge, and American Fork, which is astounding. It's well above the state and district average. For the graduation rate from 2023, Lone Peak and Westlake leading in the way. And then in readiness coursework, we have Orem, Skyridge, and Timpanogos. And then below you have the seniors who have taken AP, concurrent enrollment, and CTE. They've taken at least one course and got a C or better.
Brandon, can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So when you're saying that it's looking at the seniors, and this is kind of the snapshot of the seniors, and you're saying it's their entire course load from 9th through 12th, that they have taken at least a 0.5, and so we're showing the percentage of, like, for example, with Lehigh, you're showing me 68% of kids who were seniors at some point took a CTE course from 9th to 12th grade and either got a C. Is it a C and or is it a C and a 0.5?
A C or better and half a credit, so 0.5 credit.
So a C and a 0.5 or better.
Yep.
And so, and that's 9 through 12, is that correct?
That's correct. And it's only looking at the 2024 seniors that graduated in their high school career.
Okay, so I have to say I'm a little bit surprised at some of the numbers because I know that some schools have a higher focus on concurrent enrollment than AP, for example. Yeah. And that's totally acceptable based on, you know, their experience. So I guess my question is, it's really just you have to have taken the AP, the CE, or the CTE.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
That it's not like it's dinging you, like if you have more CE than AP, it's not dinging you in the AP category, correct?
Correct. It's just if they've taken, so if a student could be counted in each of the categories if they were taking an AP class and passed it in their 9th through 12th grade year. Okay,
so the AP ones I think don't shock me because I think AP has a level of intensity, and I will say I have a bias that I generally support. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud, concurrent enrollment over AP. Just because I feel like AP also, it's like everything is on one test in one day, versus it feels like concurrent enrollment is more like a college course as far as like you're doing the coursework and earning the credit. I am a little bit surprised about some of the CTE numbers though, because I don't know if it's just my perception based on my own children's experience, but I feel like CTE is kind of the norm. Like, doesn't everybody take a CTE credit? So can you help me understand, like, am I just not understanding it correctly, or am I just having a totally different experience in what's happening with our kids?
Well, so these are so 68% of students received a C or better. So the other half would be they got credit, and they may have gotten like a C minus or something. So that could be the difference there. We haven't looked into it extensively, but this is how the state calculates it. But we'd be happy to look into it more for you.
So I'm just, aren't kids kind of required to take a CTE class for graduation? I guess that's where I'm struggling. Like, I assumed that every kid was taking a CTE class, and obviously we've got some kids who are pathway completers who do phenomenal things. So
I believe, and we can look into it to make sure, but I believe those CTE numbers you're saying are the pathways, not just like a regular CTE class. It's something that has a test attached to it. So like my son has CTE classes, but there's no state test attached to it. And so those would be pathway type CTE classes that are taking and passing.
So are you saying these are the pathways, or this is any CTE class?
Pathways.
Pathways. Okay. I think that's where the disconnect is happening. So thank you for clarifying.
Thank you, Scott. So we're going to dive into the concurrent enrollment data. And there has been a shift of more students taking concurrent enrollment classes. So the first graphic are the number of courses taking. So a student could have taken one or more concurrent enrollment class in a year. And we've seen an increase of 20% from the prior year of courses being taken. And then the bottom graphic is just how many students took at least one. And we see a almost 13.5% growth there. So that's compared to Nebo, Provo. That's the ones that feed into Utah Valley University. And so that's where those credits are coming from. Now, just a reminder, concurrent enrollment, usually the high school will have a high school teacher who's teaching the course, but they're in conjunction with Utah Valley University to receive high school credit and college credit. And then here's a look at courses taken by the high school. Most of our high schools are above the 20% gain average for the district, so that's really encouraging. So we are seeing a shift to kids taking more concurrent enrollment classes than before. And then these are just the student counts. So these are how many kids took at least one class in concurrent enrollment. And we see there are varying circumstances depending on the school and what their priorities are, what their demographics are. They may lean toward AP or concurrent enrollment as a college course. Yeah, and if you look at Mountain View, they've increased tremendously in there, and Cedar Valley as well. They're focusing on those things and trying to get kids to have more of a college experience before they graduate. And they have done some things there, and we can see the results for what they've been doing. Now, looking at AP courses, there has been a slight decline. This is the number of courses taken, so a student could take one or more courses. And there are some schools that are growing, and some schools are probably making that shift more to concurrent enrollment. And then again, this is the student count by taking at least one AP course. And so it's not surprising that's down because the number of courses are down. But surprisingly enough, if you look at the number of exams taken, AP exams taken, and the number of exams passed, that's actually up, which is great. So we're doing a better job in our schools and in our clusters of getting kids into the right courses and pathways where they're going to be successful and where their interests and aptitudes are. So that's really encouraging there.
So I have a
question.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So can you have any explanation for the movement from AP to CE? Are teachers qualifying as instructors for CE? I don't know. Who's making those decisions and emphasize?
Yeah, what I saw in the high school was the concurrent enrollment becomes automatic credit if you're going to stay in state. And a lot of our students stay in state, so it's automatic credit into college. It's recognized by each of our universities. AP is ongoing recognized, but it's getting harder and harder. And it's like Julie said, or Board Member King said, is it's a one test, get it
On
or
one
not,
day, yeah.
right? And so a concurrent enrollment class gives you the automatic credit. AP is a little bit more difficult. And so kids and students, or students and teachers and schools are also looking at it going, this is an automatic way to get kids credit, that college experience going in. And so I think that some schools really want to emphasize concurrent enrollment, while others have more of a traditional path of AP, and that's been fine for them. And so those schools are growing, others are emphasizing concurrent enrollment. So there's goods and bads of both of them, but the good of it is it's giving our kids experience to have next level readiness to be ready for college. Seeing some of the AP classes comparative to some of the concurrent enrollment classes, some of those AP classes are very difficult. And so some of our very, very brightest students are getting 2s, 3s on them. A 3 gives you credit, but a 2 will not. And so that whole class you get high school credit for, but you don't get the college credit for. And so maybe it's a confidence level, but at the same time, we still have a good number of kids still taking it and growing in those areas. But that's more or less the shift of people starting to see what's best fit for me. If I'm going to stay in-state, concurrent enrollment makes a lot of sense.
So students who are interested in attending maybe an out-of-state college, an AP class looks better on their
Yeah, you run into
application.
Yeah, you run into problems of having them accepted a concurrent enrollment class outside of the state, whereas AP is more readily accepted.
I will say too, one of the things that I've just experienced as a parent, concurrent enrollment is pretty inexpensive. It's $5 a credit versus AP is like $75 for the test now, I think. And I will say too that one of the things that's a challenge with AP is depending on what university you go to, they may require a 5 on the test, and if you get a 3 on your AP test, it's one of those things that gets complicated. So I will say one of the things that I appreciate at concurrent enrollment, and thank you to the legislature for this one, is the $5 cost associated with it. I know that it saved my family tens of thousands of dollars in college tuition because my kids were able for $5 a credit versus what it would cost them to go to a university full-time and obtain that same level of credit. So I think it's also a fantastic investment for families.
The other piece, just like you're saying, Board Member King, is many of our kids are coming out of high school with an associate's degree or very close. My own kids are leaving high school with a number of credits, and that's been a huge benefit because they've all stayed in state, and so it's been a cost savings for them throughout, and then their dad doesn't have to pay their tuition.
Thank you for the clarity. Thanks.
And we decided to also look at, okay, let's not look at concurrent enrollment and AP separately, but we did look at how many students are taking at least one of those courses, and if we're going up. And so this is a representation of that. And we have increased the number of students getting a college experience year after year before they go and graduate. So that has been a tremendous thing. And one thing that our team has done the last couple years is we've been building a data dashboard. And on that dashboard, the schools can see in real time every day their enrollment counts in those classes and by course even. And so some of the schools like Mountain View and Cedar Valley High, they've really taken that to heart, and they've done things like community fairs and community outreach things to get parents and students out to the school to register for these classes. And so it's been a great experience watching those schools with that. And as Board Member King said, actually all high school students are required to take at least one credit of CTE. And so that's why these numbers are so high. And I thought I would just put it in there for your information so you can see kind of where we're at numbers-wise. So this is the number of courses taken. Now, there are also about 9 electives a student could take, so that could be part of the concurrent or the career technical education courses as well. So this is kids that take 1 or more classes, and then this next slide is a kid that's taken at least 1 CTE course. So that's the majority of kids right there. And then just some celebrations with our student groups. So for students receiving 18 plus or higher on an ACT, especially students that don't speak English as their first language, that's a real feat right there. And so Skyridge, Timpanogos, and Westlake had a really higher percentage rate than the average for our multilingual learners. And so that was a shout out to them. And then our graduation rate for multilingual students, American Fork and Westlake are doing really well at making sure kids are getting it and passing their classes and also learning those dispositions to communicate with their teachers to complete their coursework. And then we also have the readiness coursework with the AP concurrent enrollment and CTE for multilingual students is very high as well in American Fork, Orem High, and Timpanogos. And then looking at our students with disabilities, and the ACT, Orem and Skyridge and Westlake are the top for that category, and they're well above the district. Now there are average. There are some schools that are at or near the district average, but these ones are a lot further. And if you look at the graduation rate for students with disabilities, 77%, and even Westlake at 84%. That's a job well done at getting kids past that, just giving them a sense of self-efficacy that they can do it and they can continue on to do hard things. And then, of course, with readiness coursework, we have Timpanogos and Westlake getting more kids even with disabilities, with their accommodations, being successful in those things. And so really what we've seen as it's a group effort preparing students for post-secondary success. Administrators, counselors, teachers, they all work as a team, and administrators are important to provide that professional development to those teachers who teach those advanced level courses, and giving them the space and the time to actually collaborate with each other and across the district. I've seen in schools where numbers for AP and concurrent enrollment have gone up just because they went and talked to the neighboring high school and seeing what they're doing to recruit kids and get kids to be more successful. And then counselors are it's very important when they meet with the parents and their students to make sure they're on the correct pathway. And we're starting to see that with the shift, more AP tests taken and passed, but also the increase in enrollment and concurrent enrollment. And then because of that, the students are learning the necessary skills and dispositions to be successful and have a college experience before they graduate. And that's really important in the work that we're doing with the coherence map and in conjunction with the priorities that the schools have set. Do you have any more questions for us?
Thank you. We just appreciate your information.
Yeah, not a question, just a comment. The coherence map across the district, having every school develop evidence-informed priorities, the research and assessment team being able to provide that evidence so that they can determine their priorities is significant. I'm so grateful for the work that your team does to provide that evidence, ready access to that, the data dashboard, the professional development opportunities where you give to every school, here's your data, here where your students are at, you can track it real time. It just really helps us build that culture of a results orientation and confronting the brutal facts and seeing where we're doing well and where we're not and how we get better. So thank you for that work to support that movement to get more results oriented in our work.
Can I just ask one more question? I love the celebrations, but I also think we ought to think critically about places where we're not doing so well. I'm just trying to think, I love these presentations you're making. Is there a way that without picking on a school or a program that we could still address, these are significant problems that we're seeing, and maybe without the name of the school, but just saying, okay, we look at this data, we dove into it, the school decided to make a improvement plan around it. I'm just thinking that would be helpful in addition to the celebrations.
Yeah, and just a little bit more to that point, we spend a lot of time talking through about the proactive measures. The good thing about data is when we get the right data in the hands of our schools, we can say, here's data a lot of times is an autopsy report. It's like, what was the end result? We can look at it. But whenever we can use the data to be proactive, so a lot of the things we've done with the last bit of data from Rise and Aspire, we've been able to sit down with schools and say, here's where your student groups are. Let's get a plan now before they actually get into jeopardy or problems. And so we're trying to meet them where they are. But if they're trying to increase their graduation numbers and they're at 90%, let's pinpoint where the student groups are and see where the deficiencies are. So if there's students with disabilities are low, that's where they want to target their graduation. So a lot of that is happening behind the scenes, but if I'm hearing you the right way, is when we present, we also want to say, here's some successes of some improvement priorities that people have had, and here's how we're addressing those.
I think that would be wonderful.
Okay, you got it.
I think one of the things for me, this is just, I think, a remarkable outcome of the investment that our administrators and our teachers are putting in our students, that they're opening up so many opportunities. I have to say that, shout out to our CTE teachers. One of my favorite things to do is going to CTE graduations and seeing kids who've completed like 3, 4, 5 pathways, and kids who have just really explored a lot of different options and figured it out, because I feel like at least, I realize that I'm old and decrepit, but when I was a kid, it was kind of like you just went to college and you just tried stuff out and you weren't really sure, like, I guess I'll try this and see if I like it. Okay, I didn't like it, but it's kind of expensive to do that. I love that CTE, CEAP is giving kids a taste of those experiences at a very low risk to try something out and see if it's something that really just resonates and speaks to you. So just incredibly grateful for the administrators, the teachers, how they work together to provide those opportunities, because I think we're seeing how our students are benefiting from that.
Thank you.
I just want to note, I'm in the teaching and learning committee, so I got a little preview, a little taste of really the importance of your work and just how difficult it is sometimes in your work on the data dashboard to make that data accessible and to mesh it with our Who Knew It system. Thank you. It's just incredible work that you've done. And in our committee, this is kind of a report, but we talked about how you have integrated the SO aspect, the culture, climate, and connection survey into that, which is, part and parcel of what we're about. So thank you for all that you've done to make that accessible so that our administrators and teachers can be self-directed and self-motivated in accessing that data and making a difference. So thank you.
When you get to work with Jason and Brandon, it's exciting. They come to work with an enthusiasm to help support schools, and they are a lot of the, I'll use the word architect for some of the work that goes into the schools, and they accept challenges very well, and they rise to every occasion we've had. So it's exciting to see what they come up with. They're amazing, and to see their different levels. Jason has an elementary lens with some other experiences in the data field, and then Brandon has a secondary. So it's a well-rounded group to be able to pick up K through 12, which is now what the department is. So we'll be back with graduation data as soon as we get it.
Thank you all so much. We appreciate the information. Thank you. Okay, it's now time for board member and superintendent reports.
So today we had an update from Carrie Milner and Megan Walker on our early adopters for Wonders 2023. And they kind of gave us a preview of kind of what they had put together. And it was, I probably should have brought it with me that everybody might appreciate it. I'll try to get that sent out, but just remarkable how our coaches are working so that the integration as the teachers or early adopters are doing. I don't know. I'm not articulating this well, but it's just they've got it in one place. So there you go. Ada's got it. So they've got it coded with the new standards and some other things, and it's just at a glance every unit. Then there's a wrap-up unit. I don't even know how many hours of work went into that, but I was thinking if I was a teacher in a classroom and I'm taking on new standards from USB plus, I mean, we've used Wonders before, right? So the interface is similar, but it's a little bit different. And so they have just done a phenomenal job, and I think we don't really recognize them in public places for the work that they do to help make sure that the teachers who are rolling this out are able to do that effectively and with the support. So just my public thanks for them and for all the hours of putting that together, because it's really a remarkable thing.
I was talking to Kim Richards today, who is at the warehouse at the Timpanogos cluster meeting, and she told me something that I thought was really quite interesting. She said that the warehouse and the purchasing has received the Achievement of Excellence in Procurement Award 3 years in a row, and that we are the only one of 3 K-12 districts to receive the award this year. It says this award recognizes organizations that demonstrate excellence in innovation, professionalism, productivity, leadership, and e-procurement. So I would just like to congratulate Kim and her whole team. I don't know if people are aware that our warehouse serves not just Alpine School District, but all of Provo School District and 15 charter schools as well. So they're busy. They've got great processes. The warehouse is extremely well managed. The prices are exceptional, and a shout out to their team for this great award.
I just wanted to make a few notes from our capital planning meeting today. First of all, the junior high is on schedule to open in fall 2025. The occupancy will be July 1st, so that's exciting. The new high school in Saratoga Springs, they're currently meeting with teachers and administrators and the architect to get feedback on classroom needs. The landowner has approved the placement of the school so that we can have a legal description to work on. And so now we will know where to do our soil testing. That will occur in the next few weeks. And then they will meet with the city to make sure that the site plan meets with the city's needs. So once the testing is complete, then they can go ahead and purchase or finalize the purchase.
I just want to further add to Board Member Bateman's report on our Teaching and Learning Committee. We heard from Melissa Bostwick also today about the Culture, Climate, and Connection Survey, which is really an in-house creation by Alpine School District that has responded to parents' concerns about the SHARP survey, which we've done in the past. But this is an in-house survey which only takes 10 to 15 minutes of our time, but gives some very valuable information, and especially in relation to our connection goals that we have in every school. So this test is given twice each year, and they are just making it possible for our teachers to access this on the data dashboard, which is really a phenomenal accomplishment. And we also heard from Sam Rencher today, who talked about identifying our KPIs on a district level and making that also available so that we can work more collaboratively across the district in identifying schools that are doing good, doing well in an area that we want to emphasize. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for some really fine work that's happening among our educators. I think every board member should be on the Teaching and Learning Committee. So, thank you.
Okay, so I do not believe we have need of a closed session, so I will entertain a motion for us to adjourn.
Well, I'll make that motion. I move that we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I think that was unanimous. Okay, thank you. We are